All right, let's talk about Bitcoin. It's an incredible story, right? How did this mysterious digital experiment, something born from the ashes of a global financial crisis, become this massive force that some people now call digital gold? Let's dive in and find out. Okay, to really get why Bitcoin even exists, we have to rewind the clock. Picture it, 2008. The entire global financial system is, well, it's on fire. Trust in the big banks, in the whole traditional system, it's basically at rock bottom. Everything just felt fragile, unstable, and to a lot of people, totally broken.
So right in the middle of all that chaos and distrust, this really radical question started bubbling up. What if you could build a financial system that didn't need governments or banks? You know, a system that belonged to everyone, but was controlled by no one.
And that question, right there, is at the very heart of Bitcoin's mysterious and, let's be honest, fascinating origin story.
So get this, it's Halloween 2008. Out of nowhere, a document, a white paper, just appears online. The author, or maybe a group of people, go by the name Satoshi Nakamoto. To this day, nobody knows who they really are. It's a huge mystery. This paper laid out the entire blueprint for a new kind of money. And just a few months later, the network went live, and the very first block of transactions, the Genesis block, was mined.
Satoshi's own words really revealed the core idea, and it was revolutionary: cutting out the middleman. This wasn't about just improving the old system. It was about creating a totally new one, a direct, secure way to send value to anyone online without asking for permission. But, an idea is just a theory until you put it to the test. So, how did this digital experiment actually cross over into the real world? Well, that brings us to the very first time Bitcoin was used to buy something physical.
Take a look at this number, 10,000. In the story of Bitcoin, this number isn't just big, it's legendary. It really represents the moment Bitcoin went from being a weird tech curiosity to an actual currency.
And there they are. 10,000 Bitcoin was the price for 2 Papa John's pizzas. At the time, this was a huge breakthrough, but today, oh man, those same coins would be worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Just wild to think about.
This wasn't just a simple purchase, it was a proof of concept. It showed that, hey, this thing actually works as a medium of exchange. And the crypto world now celebrates this milestone every single year as Bitcoin Pizza Day.
But the journey from being worth a fraction of a pizza to a global asset was not a smooth ride. Not at all. Bitcoin was about to enter a chaotic and volatile period, its own Wild West era.
Back in the early days, the Bitcoin world had this one massive central hub, an exchange called Mt. Gox. At its peak, it was handling the vast majority of all Bitcoin transactions worldwide. It was the center of the ecosystem.
And then, in 2014, the mountain just crumbled. The exchange suddenly went dark, declared bankruptcy, and then came the bombshell. Hundreds of thousands of Bitcoins were simply gone.
Now, this wasn't a small setback. The collapse of Mt. Gox plunged Bitcoin into a brutal, long-lasting bear market. Confidence was just shattered. If the biggest, most trusted platform wasn't safe, then what was? A lot of people declared Bitcoin dead. This was its ultimate test of resilience.
And yet, Bitcoin survived. A big part of the reason is this critical feature baked right into its code, the halving. Roughly every 4 years, the reward for creating new Bitcoins gets automatically cut in half. This creates a predictable scarcity, a hard cap of only 21 million coins that will ever exist. It acts like a built-in defense against inflation, and it's a core part of its appeal.
So, after surviving its chaotic youth, Bitcoin entered this whole new phase of maturation. This is the story of how it went from a niche interest for tech enthusiasts to a serious asset right on Wall Street. This timeline really captures that explosive journey. The 2017 price surge first put it on the map for everybody. By 2021, it hit a staggering $68,000. But the real turning point, the game changer, came in 2024. That's when U.S. regulators approved spot Bitcoin ETFs, investment funds you can trade on a stock exchange. This created a regulated bridge for traditional investors, and it propelled Bitcoin to new all-time highs.
And that ETF approval was so much more than just a regulatory green light. It was a signal of institutional validation. It meant that some of the biggest names in finance were now treating Bitcoin as a legitimate asset class. It was the moment the old financial world finally met the new one.
And that brings us to today. After this wild ride, what is Bitcoin's role in the world now?
Well, this is where we get to that whole concept of digital gold. This slide perfectly captures Bitcoin's dual identity today. On one hand, because of its programmed scarcity, it's really attractive as a store of value, sort of like a digital version of gold to hedge against inflation. But on the other hand, its price is still famously volatile, prone to these wild swings based on market sentiment.
And so, we end with the central question that really defines Bitcoin today. It was born from a financial crisis, as an alternative to a risky system. But is it now a safe haven for wealth, or is it the next great financial risk? Its story is far from over, and honestly, only time is going to tell.